Hi everyone, welcome to Afros in the Diaspora, the Express Corner. This is a series that aims to empower, educate, and support immigrants, whether you're new to Canada or you've been in Canada for a while and you're still finding your feet. Each episode features professionals and community leaders who share practical guides and insights on everything from finances and housing to mental health. We acknowledge the support of Africa Centre and the Canada Service Corps for making the Black Youth Leadership Program possible and helping us create spaces where Black and immigrant voices can thrive. My name is Sarah Uwadiae. I'm your host. Let's go. Today we have the amazing Dr. Linda Kongnetiman with us. She is a PhD trained social worker with over 30 years of experience across healthcare, human services, and private practice, and academia. She serves as an Adjunct Professor at the University of Calgary and the University of British Columbia's Faculty of Social Work. Recognized as a change agent and bridge builder, Dr. Kongnetiman-Pansa leads transformative policies and systems initiatives grounded in compassion, inclusion, and equity. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sarah.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. I hope you're as excited as I am.
I am very excited. I can't wait.
Amazing. So we're going to start by getting to know you just a little bit. Please tell us a little bit more about your background, where you're from.
Thank you. So I was born and raised in Suriname, South America, and I am a descendant of enslaved people who sought freedom in the late 1600s, 1700s. So my ancestors were brought through the transatlantic slave trade to the Caribbean or South America, and I belong, I say belong purposeful, I belong to 3 tribes of the Maroon people, the Samaka, Pamaka, and Aluku. And so I speak those languages as well. And Dutch is my first language, Surinamese the second language, English my 5th language. So I'm quite excited and to be here, but also to represent Suriname, living in Canada. And so I've been away from my country for 32 years. And so by way of the US to Canada, and in Canada, I've lived here for approximately 29 years, something like that. And yeah, that's where I'm from.
Thank you for sharing that. That was so thorough. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You have this beautiful fabric with us here today.
Yeah.
I would love for you to share more about it with us.
Thank you for asking about this, as I brought it with me. So this here is a pattern of the Maroon people. Even the way it is hand-stitched and the colors that were chosen shows where it's from. So in Suriname, when people see one of these, they know that it comes from the Maroon people. And so this is a wrap that you could use as a skirt, but I use it for anything. It depends on the day. And so it belonged to my late mom. And so when she passed away, I took it. And so the meaning of this for me, when I see it, I think of freedom, I think of survival, but I also think about living, because the Maroon people for hundreds and hundreds of years, living in the belly of the Amazon, they needed to make sure that they survived, thrived, and lived so that their descendants, like me, could have freedom.
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. What's the name? What would you say is the name of this beautiful work here?
So this is called a pangi, and it's spelled Pangi.
Pangi.
Yes.
Pangi.
And it's half of an outfit for a woman. And so I'm happy that up to today we continue to wear a pangi, and the other part for it is called the banyakosu in my dad's language. And so acknowledging your background, acknowledging where you come from helps determine to where you're going. Because as a human being, if you don't know your history, you don't know where you came from, it's difficult for you to be future focused.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing so much about your history with us and the Pangi.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much.
You remember?
Oh, of course. Yeah, we have to respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
we have to
you.
honor. We have to honor, yes. Okay, so we're going to dive a little bit more into your social work. Would you mind telling us what inspired this path for you? Was this something you knew right from when you were a kid? You're like, this is what I want to be when I grow up, or was it something that just kind of revealed itself to you as time went on?
I think it was more a shift. Growing up, my parents really encouraged me to become a lawyer. And for the longest time, I was like, okay, that might be something good. But I liked working with people. I liked listening to people, being there for people. So I thought I could do psychology. When I graduated from high school, the university in Suriname didn't have a psychology department. And so I thought, okay, I'm done school. I can't do what I would like to do, so I'm done. And a friend of mine, she saw me in the summer, during the summer holiday, and she mentioned to me that there is a social work in a department. And I was like, what is social work? Because I didn't know what it was, and I went for orientation, listened to it, and it aligned with the philosophy of supporting people and being there for people. And so I went into social work, and I don't regret it. It was meant to be.
That is amazing. From law to social work is such a shift though, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah.
And you've literally studied it to the max. Like you have your PhD in it.
Didn't think that would happen, but it's okay.
You found your way there somehow.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So, actually, I'm very curious about this. Coming from Suriname, what would you say was your first big culture shock when you moved here?
Whoa. I'll start with from Suriname to Miami to Colorado.
Oh.
Yes, December 1993. And the biggest shock for me was my husband was studying on campus. And so one morning we're going out because we were new in the country. I didn't want to stay home when he was going to school. So I was going with him to campus. And there was this black patch of dirt, I thought, and it was black ice. Yeah, that was my first encounter with black ice. So that shocked me that was part of snow that changed and looked like dirt, but it was very dangerous.
Yes,
so that was my first shock.
Wow.
Yeah, the snow.
Black ice. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So, moving now into like social work and, living here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. When I first moved here, I would say that I'm not one of those people that received a lot of support because I did not know that they existed. Coming from a country like Nigeria where it's like everyone is like you're white knuckling it and you're doing your best and that's literally it. There are not a lot of like societal supports available. So like I just moved here. I'm like, okay, the hustle continues. We're going to school. We're trying our best. We're not realizing that there's some systems that exist. There's like some social supports from the city, from the province, from even the government that people have access to but don't have access. They don't even know about it, so they don't even know that they can even like reach out and ask for the support. So can you what are some of the first steps that a newcomer or an immigrant family should take when trying to access support wow, not Nigeria.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome, but that's not the case. But what would you say? What are some of the first steps that a newcomer or immigrant family should take when trying to access support in Canada?
This is such a timely question because we had, when I say we, my not-for-profit organization, YEPI, we had a board meeting today and working on our strategic planning for 2026 till 2028. And this came up because we felt like after years of being in Canada, we know where to go, what to do. But initially, when we came here, we didn't know. We didn't know anything about insurance and when you pay. So we started listing all the things that we're aware of right now that's helping us with our physical and mental health and that newcomers need to know. But it's difficult to say what is one of the first things they need to do.
Yeah.
Because when you move into a new country, there's nothing you know unless you have a family member or you have a friend.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
If that's not the case for newcomers, it would be good even before they get here for if they go through, they apply to come here. Of course, you have to apply to come here. But for that information to be available to them, especially about immigrant serving agencies and through the immigrant serving agencies, receiving support in navigating the system and knowing about different things available, and not only from government support. There are so many not-for-profit organizations as well as individuals in our community who want to support. Some of those individuals do it on the background through people they know that would like to support, but those supports exist, but newcomers most of the time don't know how to navigate that.
Yeah. So what would you say would be a way that a newcomer or an immigrant family or someone here trying to make life happen, how would you say, or what would you say is the best way for them to start accessing or finding, or, you know what I mean? Like, what would you say would be the first step to even accessing some of these? I mean, I feel like education and knowing it in the first place would be the first idea, but do you have any thoughts on what that could look like?
One of the things it made me think of is when my husband studied in Colorado. The university had a program and it was called a host family. And so each student, foreign student, they were connected with a family living in the city. And so that family's role was to help you integrate. A host family, they would make sure all the things that you needed to know about healthcare, about shopping, and that's how I learned about garage sale. I didn't know anything about that. My host mom in Colorado taught me about garage sale. And to this day, I like doing that, even if it's not something I need to purchase, but just having that on a memory. And so having a family that you could connect with when you come as a new person would be very meaningful to people. Now, I don't know how you set that up. I think it would be easier if you come in through a job and then the organization or corporation identifies a host family. And also if you come as a student, those things are easier. But if you come as an independent immigrant, then that's more challenging. But at the same time, I wish at the airport there would be people that could say, if you need a host family, here is a card, call, and this is what a host family does. I would love to be a host family.
Oh,
if I'm given the opportunity. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe I should start it.
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I could start that.
Girl, I don't know about that.
Opportunities.
Opportunities.
Yeah, it's the helping
But yes.
of people that's in me. I'm already thinking, how
Of
can
how
I
to make it
help?
happen.
Yeah.
And like host families, I think I know a couple of families here who like host people, but I'm not sure under like how they go, like how that happens. Mostly folks from like Colombia or like Latin American countries. I'm not sure what system or organization helps facilitate that, but when you mentioned that, I'm like, oh, I think I know someone who does that. But yeah, like it'll be amazing if at the airport they're like, do you need social services?
Yeah.
Here we are, you know, that would like be so eye-opening and helpful.
And maybe they do. I can't say
When I moved
it's
here, that did
not-
not exist. I will tell you right now.
Yes.
Maybe things have changed.
It didn't exist for me either,
Yeah.
but that was in 1997.
Yeah.
So that's what, 28 years, 29 years
Seven.
ago, something like that?
It's 29 years, yeah.
Yes. So things might have changed.
Yeah, no, I moved like 10 years ago. That was not the case. I'll ask someone else.
Yeah, please. I might make a trip one of these days to the airport just to see if that's a possibility.
Yeah, because like I know that it will make a world of difference.
Yeah.
It will make a world of
It
difference.
definitely does.
And like settling is hard enough, especially for folks who come as like a family, a wife, kids, one or two or whatever. What would you say are some support systems that are available? And it was so amazing you said that sometimes not even just the government, that there are organizations and private individuals who want to help. Like
Yeah.
that's news to me, right? Like that's like, oh wow, okay. So how would you then say that someone like that, a family like that, could access some of the support? What would you say are some of the support that even exists right now? Because I do not know.
Yeah.
And I've been here for a long time, and I'm not aware of a lot of these things.
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. So when I first moved here, my first social work position was as a community development worker with Calgary Catholic Immigration Society. So in that capacity, I knew a lot about community services, what is available for newcomers, because that's what I did. I had to be, I needed to be available for families that needed support and needed navigation. So I would say starting with the immigrant serving agencies. But also looking at other organizations, which I won't list because I need to be careful in terms of where changes might have come. But there are organizations who provide clothing. There are also organizations during the holidays, Adopt a Family. Not-for-profit organizations. My not-for-profit organization does that as well. And when you adopt a family, you get a list of what the needs are of the family, the children, the parents, and whomever belongs to the family. And then you make sure that they get those things on the list. But also you could throw in some groceries and gift cards as well.
Really? Wow, okay. Wow, okay. That's good to know. And it's awesome that like these initiatives and organizations and nonprofits like yours exist to serve immigrants, to serve communities, to serve people who are in need of these supports. I just wish that there was some sort of a directory, you know what I mean? Like there was some sort of a platform where people could go to be like, help, I need help with this. Where can I find resources for this? Right? Do you know if something like that exists already, or is it like
Well,
not yet?
you and I should look at 311.
Okay.
And maybe after we could see what those services are. But the government has that number where you could call in terms of what's available, because I know that some not-for-profits are listed there. as well. So after we're done, I'll check it out.
Amazing.
But 311 is somewhere people call for information and availability of services as well.
Oh, okay. So people just like dial 311 and then they're able to access resources?
Yes. But let's make sure we
That is
check it
awesome.
out.
Okay, yeah, we'll confirm. Make sure
We'll
it's
confirm.
true.
Yes.
But that's awesome that even a
Yeah.
line like that could potentially exist like that. Yeah.
And also through the hospital social workers who interact with outpatients or inpatient families that are would be going home, they also know a lot about services that are available. And so making sure that if you know to identify what your needs are, even if you don't know what your needs are, having the ability to talk to someone might really help in terms of helping you to identify what is available.
Right.
It's really talking to someone.
Yes, it is. And I know sometimes even like like a family doctor could help even recommend some places. Okay. So there are lots of like people who immigrate to Canada who don't speak English or who like their English is very, very minimal and they like language is a barrier for when they move here. Sometimes it's even as simple, well, not necessarily simple. Simple is not maybe not the right word, but folks who even move from Montreal, like they immigrate from say a French country, France, Cameroon, Congo, and they move to Montreal or Quebec where they speak French most of the time. And then when they move to a province like Alberta or even Ontario, they're in the language minority, even though Canada is bilingual. Most people do not speak French in some of these other cities. And so they find themselves even in a language minority to where like they need help access even basically communicating. We talk much less of folks who move from India or from China or from any one of these other countries. So what would you say would be a way that they can like access support, being that English is not even their first language? Like how can they, is there a way that they can like access, is there a 311 for folks who don't speak like English as their first language, like that kind of resource?
It all depends on the organization. So there are organizations that really focus on providing a holistic service, and access to language is most of the time part of it. And so also translating some services, brochures, information into other language is something that's also available. But one of the things we're missing when it comes to speaking another language is recognizing that it isn't a barrier. Having a second language or being multilingual,
That's not a barrier.
it isn't a barrier. It shouldn't be a barrier. I think it's society's way of having people feel like it is a barrier that impacts the individual more. Because the expectation is that you can only get services if you speak English fluently. So if we shift our thoughts to help people recognize that it's an asset to have a second language or to speak more languages, and how can I support you, that changes the outlook of individuals to be freer to speak the language that they are familiar with and be confident to learn another language. Because that stress alone can keep you away from learning that language. But when you know that the language you were born to speak and the English language are the same, because someone who's English speaking going to another country, they'll would
be in
not
the
have
minority.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we just need to help newcomers understand that the language they're speaking is an asset. It's not a barrier. Because it's not a barrier, how can we help you to speak both languages?
That's such an excellent way to put it because you're completely right. It's not a barrier, it's an asset.
It is an asset.
And it's incredibly brilliant to be able to speak more than one language.
Absolutely.
Like fluently. Like it's you've activated a level in your brain that most people yet have access to. And you're right. Like I think we do look at it as it's a barrier because I think in society it's seen as sort of a liability, like, oh, you're going to require more time and more effort and more, like, oh, and most times people don't want to deal. Sometimes people don't even like people aren't even equipped to be able to handle or relate with individuals who don't speak English.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can I say something about that?
Yes, please.
When I work with individuals and they're speaking, they're trying their best to help me understand what's happening, I tell them, say it in your language when they can't find the word in English. And when they say it in their language, they get the English word right away. It's a way of encouraging people. And also, when you are in distress, you do not think in English. You think in the language you were born to speak. That's when you understand. And so when someone is ill or they're going through difficult conversations, they will, most of the time, not everybody, I can't stereotype, but most of the time, those individuals will go back to their first language and try to understand and make sense what's happening for them. So why not help them to keep both?
Yeah, that is so valuable and important. And I think that that needs to be a shift in the way that we perceive folks who have English as a second language, third, fourth. It's your fifth language,
Yes.
right? And like there's this, I don't know if you ever saw Modern Family, like it's a series where Sophia, I don't remember her last name. Anyway, she's this gorgeous actress who has a very like strong Spanish accent. She's from Colombia, I believe. And she was in a, like in this series, in this show, or on this show, she had this older gentleman who's her husband. And like they love each other, all is well in that way. But like she struggles with words sometimes. And so she'll say the thing in Spanish and she'll get frustrated. And then he'll like tease her. And then she'll be like, you don't even know how smart I am in my language. And I'll never forget that sentence because that's so real. You don't even know how smart I am in my language. And then I'm speaking English and struggling with words and you feel like I look stupid because I'm struggling with words.
Yeah.
But I'm a genius. Like I'm smart, you know, I'm brilliant. But now the world will never see that or value that because I have a strong accent or I have a strong like tongue. And I thought that was really powerful when she said that.
That's beautiful that you remember that too.
Yeah.
Because when I think about it, just imagine 32 years ago, I knew English words, but I could not hold a conversation in English. And then starting to learn English in the basement of a church in Colorado, to being an adjunct professor at the university right now.
We love it.
If I had put my languages aside, how would I be able to think and create all those metaphors that my family and my tribe uses in talking? I wouldn't be able to write that thesis.
That's amazing. And so what would you say would be like resources for people who do want to learn English as their second language and are struggling with like having, you know, conversations? They know words, they are not very confident in their ability to speak. Are there some like language resources in the city or even in the province, in the country that they can access?
There's a lot of ESL support in the city, and I would start with the immigrant surfing agencies, and because they're aware of where all those supports are, and yeah, that's where I would start. Recommend.
Right. So just like looking up immigrants serving that's agencies or organizations that serve immigrants.
Yes.
Right?
Maybe we could check 311.
Yeah,
If they're
311.
listed there.
Okay. Yeah, because like, okay, maybe that's a central resource where like so many other like arms are plugged into. Wonderful. Okay. What advice do you have for newcomers who do not yet have their status or are waiting on paperwork but still need urgent help?
And help in terms of what?
Help in terms of, say, they need a job, but their paper expired and they're not in a position to like go back home, but they need work. Like that's a scenario, for instance.
Yeah. That's an area I am not very familiar with because of if you don't have your immigration papers, what the possibilities are to have a position. I don't know
Very
that.
limited, yeah.
Yes, but if it is about seeking health care, then many physicians in the city will see you if you can pay out of pocket.
Right. Yes.
And so that I could speak, and also in terms of if you need other resources such as clothing and food, there are other places to go. But that component about accessing a job, I honestly don't know. I haven't thought about that for people who didn't have their papers yet.
Yeah, that's an extreme
Yeah.
scenario a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like people who need like help with mental health, for instance, or maybe their paper expired but they can't go home because there's war. You know, like there's so many scenarios. Whether it's help in so many different ways: mental health, physical health, work, emotional support, whatever the case may be. Okay. How would you say that immigrants can advocate for themselves effectively while navigating complex systems like healthcare, schools, you know, even social services?
This is a tough one because when you're new in the country, you're struggling with it's survival.
Yes.
Survival in terms of finding a place to live and also making sure you understand which bread to buy or which rice is the best one. I go straight to food, right? Because when you have food, you're okay. Or why does chicken taste different? It just doesn't.
Why is it so soft?
So all those things are important.
Yes.
And if you have no one to bounce ideas from, it's hard. So what I would say is making sure that you keep track of what you're purchasing so that when you go back into the store, you know what you purchased. But also, right now, there are so many stores, grocery stores, that caters to the needs of diverse racialized people.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Even the major grocery stores carry so many vegetables. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say when someone is trying to figure out what they need and how they should maneuver the system, it's important to keep track of what you're doing so that, for example, if you applied for your passport, remembering where you did that. Because if it expires, you have to go back. And I'm giving examples of what happened to me when I wasn't keeping track of where to apply for my medical card, when I need to go to the bank, or insurance for my car. All those things, they seem small, but they take a lot of time when someone is trying to settle in the country.
And I think that even like for new immigrants with things like, say, healthcare or even the educational system, because like a lot of kids immigrate and English may not be their first language, but then they also do have to go to school. So then now they're put into the educational system with kids who were born speaking English. And, you know, all sorts of things can happen from there. There's bullying, because in Canada, from my own personal experience, the moment you have an accent that is not European or American, you're almost perceived as stupid. And like, people look at you like, you know what I mean? There's that like, ugh, that like, sense that what is this person even doing here? They don't belong here. And whether they don't need to say it, but you feel it, like, you know. And there's the looks, and there's the side eyes, there's the attitude, physical language, right? Body language. Not to talk of kids, for instance, where they have to now go to school in a place where they're a minority and they don't know the language. Like, they're like, bullying and all sorts of things happen. Like, even from teachers sometimes, right? So like, examples like that of how would you recommend that a parent, seeing that their kid is going through something like this in school, how would you recommend that they go about handling this, seeing that they themselves may not be empowered with the language as well, right?
I think one of the things that newcomers in a situation like that need to remember is that where they are today, that's not where they will be in a year, in 10 years. So to be patient with themselves and give themselves time. Also, to make sure that they have conversations with their children, that their first language, like I said before, is an asset. And if you are pulled out of class to go into an ESL class, which most schools have for students who have a second language, then it is a good thing. And then talk about bullying, what it means to be bullied, and how do you protect yourself, who do you talk to, and also making sure that they can have conversations with their parents when they're home, and not keeping that information to themselves. One of what I also would like to add is that the word accent, and I haven't done my research yet on it, but I usually don't use the word accent. For years now, I say the color of your voice.
Ooh, that's poetic.
Because I feel like all of us have a particular color in our voice. And that takes out the negativity of accent for me. So I do that in training, I do that when I'm talking. But then the other day I was talking to someone I admire. Her name is Mercy. Her and I finished our PhD the same day at the university. And she used the tone of your voice. So we said, hey, let's collaborate on something. Let's write about the color and tone of your voice. So I say that because it's important for society to start recognizing that it isn't a negative thing to have a color or a tone in your voice. Because when someone who is English speaking moves to Suriname and they try to speak Dutch or Surinamese, they will have a particular tone in their voice. My children are born here. They speak the languages, but they speak it with a particular tone and a color in their voice.
Wonderful. So it's then a way to, like, the parents finding a way to educate their kids to honor their heritage and the assets that they have.
Correct.
Rather than trying to polish over it and get rid of it. And because, like, that's the reality, right? Like, a lot of people, to just not draw attention to themselves or to whatever the case may be, just, I don't want to be the one that people look at with a nasty eye. I don't want to be the one that people bully. I don't want to be the one people make fun of with my accent. Like, why are you talking like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be the one people do that. So how, like, people practice in the mirror. I had a friend tell me that she had to practice her laughs in front of a mirror, moving from South Africa, where you just laugh, your full belly laugh.
can't.
And then she just was like, when she moved here for high school, she was standing in front of the mirror for hours,
Wow.
toning down her laugh, because people will mock her and laugh at her.
Yeah.
Why are you speaking so loudly? Because like we're Africans, our voices are loud because we're excited, and that's just our expression. But then the feedback she got from the society told her, change that. That's not good enough. We need to stop that. And so she would do that in front of the mirror and just practice speaking in the accent, practice laughing, practice all these things until it changed to where it became like code switching was no longer hard for her. And that just was her life, because like maybe she wasn't taught to accept or whatever. And sometimes it's not even about, it's easier said than done. It's easy to say, love who you are, accept who you are, but by the time you step out of your door and you're met with a world who tells you to change, it's hard to, especially for a kid, for a high school student, to try to hold on and say, I'm going to hold on to my laugh, and I'm going to hold it. Like, it's really hard and sometimes impossible. Yeah.
And it's about erasure.
Yeah.
So
that's the
more
word.
we can erase who people are, the more they will mold and be like what society wants. But that erasure could also cause mental health problems. Because code switching once or twice isn't the problem, because sometimes we need to do it for survival. I do think code switching is not bad, but when it becomes you, then it's wrong, because then you can't get out of it. Again, you became something else, and you became something different. But for survival reasons, I can understand code switching. I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. But when it becomes part of you, it's about erasing you completely. And that has been done for hundreds and hundreds of years. And we need to teach our kids, and we need to teach newcomers that it's okay to be proud of who you are. It's okay to still speak your language with the kids, and cook your food, and dance your dance, and
Play your
listen to
music.
your music.
Yes. That's awesome. And like Canada is the mosaic of culture. How is this said? Is the mosaic, while the US is the melting pot of cultures. So like the difference then is that the melting pot, you come as you are and you mix right in and become an American. While the mosaic, the idea of the mosaic with Canada is you can retain parts of your culture while becoming a Canadian. Like becoming Canadian does not mean you have to let go of some of your culture. And while I think that is very nice and poetic and like the desire and heart behind that, it sounds noble. I think in the real world with regular individuals, that just is not the case. And there is there's an expectation that you've been here this long and you're still talking like this, or you've been here this long and you can't, like there's the it becomes like a judgment thing, like, anyway.
The expectation that no one really talks about, but it's there.
It's there.
In the air.
It's there. It's there.
Yeah.
You bring your food, your lunch, and you're like, what's that smell?
Yeah.
It's my food. It's jollof rice.
Would
you want
like
some? But it's that thing where like even now they make note of it, like food with strong smells are discouraged from this space. And it's like, well, that's all my food.
I haven't seen that sign yet.
I've been in places where they're like, oh yeah, no, like we don't. If you're bringing lunch, make sure it doesn't have a strong smell. Wow. That means I'm bringing bread. Yeah. No, I want to eat rice or beans or whatever it is that I want to eat. I don't want to have to be told that I can't bring my food because it has a smell.
But see, then it's not the individuals though. It's the system. Because the system allows that. If there is a sign in a corporation in an organization and it's not being taken down, then the systems allowed it. And that's systemic oppression.
Yeah.
It's not individual.
But don't individuals make up the system?
Yes, but they didn't make the rules, the laws that have been in existence for hundreds and hundreds of years. And because of those laws, individuals who are diverse, racialized, their voice is not at the table where decisions are being made. So although it seems like it is individuals, but it's the system that upholds it.
I feel like individuals who benefit from these systems fight tooth and nail for those systems to remain as they are. And that's why I feel like individuals are responsible for a lot of these laws and systems, because change, like the only constant thing in life is change. So if something is steadfast, it's a very intentional, active, it's a very intentional, it's very intentionally done. It's very intentionally kept that way.
Correct.
So that's why I feel like human beings, it's systems, it's organizations, it's all these things, but it does boil down to the human beings who benefit from these systems, keeping them as they are to continue to benefit from them.
I think you make a great point. It is the individuals, for sure. But as individuals, as an individual, you don't have power. So to uphold that power, you need people who are in the majority who could help you uphold that power. And yes, it starts with individuals. Then the power is with those who are in power and who have control over the system. So it starts with individuals for sure.
Okay, just pivoting a little bit. What resources would you say exist for people, for immigrant women or seniors or folks in the LGBTQ community who face additional barriers to support?
Well, I can talk about if it is physical health. Of course, there's a number of places to go. And one of the things I would say for newcomers to know is making sure that you have a family doctor.
Right.
That's very important. And also the understanding that an annual checkup is very important. And I would dare say a physical annual checkup is amazing, as well as having a mental health check once a year as well. Because sometimes we forget that that's what's keeping us going up here. And so if we can take care of down here, we need to take care of up here too. So I think if I could give advice to newcomers, that is one thing that I would say. So starting with that. But then also for women, for example, especially, talking about Black women and sometimes how Black women are being perceived, making sure that you are well connected, and also, yes, with medical support, but make sure that you have a circle of people around you who could help sustain you. Because as a Black woman living in North America, in Canada, it can be tough sometimes, especially a Black woman in leadership. And so when you can ensure that you have your annual checkup, physically, mentally, you have people around you that understand you and you can talk to, it makes it easier to continue living a life outside of your home country.
Yeah. Definitely having that community of women. And the mental check, the physical, annual physical and annual mental, that, I've never thought of that before. That's exceptional. Because, we do have annual physicals. And sometimes the clinic even calls, hey, you're due for your annual physical.
Yes.
But I've never thought about an annual mental.
Yeah.
An emotional like wellness check. That is okay.
You have that
That's
insurance
tea.
anyways.
We have what?
It's included as part of your health benefits, right? Mental wellness.
Oh, are you talking
Yeah.
about with like work?
Yeah, work
Oh,
or, you know.
I'm self-employed. I
Ah,
have.
well, get it into your self-employed package.
I'll do that.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. How would you say that immigrants can maintain their cultural identity and dignity while integrating into the Canadian society?
That's a tough question. Right now, I'm teaching a course at the university, and it's called Afrocentric Social Work. This is the first time I'm teaching that course. I have never taught a course that is this difficult emotionally because of the content and understanding how the transatlantic slave trade impacted so many people, those that the millions and millions of enslaved people that were abroad, but also those that stayed behind. And so now you're living in Canada. So you're aware of what has happened. But when you're accessing services, who you are isn't being considered as part of the conversation. Your values, the way you think about your ancestors, your spirituality, even if it's not religion, the way you are, the way you think, the way you walk, not being considered. So now I have to say I'm very proud of the university for having that course because 25 years ago when I studied for my master's, it wasn't there. And now we have the opportunity to look at Black scholars who are teaching us something that we know but didn't have it in writing. To look at surviving and thriving in a country where you are now able to say, these are my needs. And this is how I would like to include that as part of my healthcare conversations. And this is how it may fit in terms of how I'm feeling and what I have been through.
Yeah.
Those things are very important in counseling and also in looking at people's physical health. Yeah.
Yeah. And like for me, cultural identity, like my food, for instance, I've told someone once that if I don't eat sponderia manegusi in a week, I feel like I'll start to see double or or my back will start hurt. Like it just is such a part of who I am, right? Like or listening to Afro beats or like African music or Nigerian music to be specific or like the food, you know, faith is such a big part of us as Black people, as Africans, as like, you know, all over the diaspora. Faith, spirituality is such an important part of life for us and it's a part of our identity.
Absolutely.
And so living in a place like Canada that separates the two, spirituality or faith and identity are seen as separate, where for me it's intertwined. And so like you said, like in a way where like being seen in a way that you're actually seen, without people making assumptions or being like, oh yeah, this is just how it is, but no, actually being seen and intended to as you are with your own needs. That is something that that we are now empowered, I guess, to ask for and to advocate for ourselves and speak up for. I have to share this story. I heard this story from someone else once. This is reported, where this was a facility, a mental health facility where people were kept to not harm themselves and stuff like that. And this woman was screaming. She was screaming, shouting in the middle of the night, and she couldn't, like, no one could do anything or come close to her. They were scared that she was going to attack them. So they had to call her psychologist who happened to also be a Nigerian or an African who from the same culture. And the moment the person came in, he spent like 2 minutes with her and she calmed down. And they came out and he came out and they're like, what was that? What was happening? And it's like, oh, she was praying. She was just praying. She was just casting and binding and the blood of Jesus and Holy Ghost fire and doing all that. And she was praying. But they thought she was having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Because there's that cultural, like, there's just, it's not their fault that they don't understand, but they don't know what they don't know. And so that person, it's such a blessing that they were able to access that person that late at night. And the person was able to calm her down and say amen with her or whatever to calm her down, and she was able to stop.
Because
Right?
that's her go-to place.
Yeah.
Mentally and emotionally to feel okay.
Yeah.
And so when other people know that that's her go-to place, it's then having a conversation with her about now how can we support you to go to that go-to place and look at the time of the night, for example, right? It's really accommodating while you're also making sure that other people are also safe.
Yes.
Right? And so having and that's the beauty about community for the psychiatrist or psychologist to come and do that. That's part of community. When we heal in community. If we don't have that, then sometimes we will make noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a cry for help in a way.
Yeah.
And when the help is, like, she was so blessed to have the person come and support her. Because they tried to inject her, put her down. She wasn't having it. So she almost became violent because that's not what, she was praying. Leave me alone, I'm praying, you know?
Yeah.
And then the person came,
Yeah.
all calm.
Yeah.
And I
That's
heard that story,
beautiful.
I almost started crying. I'm like, oh, what a blessing to have that kind of, like, support even available, right? To be called upon. Okay. Well, what's your advice for people who feel like they no longer belong anywhere? Because, for instance, you live here for so long that when you go back, you home, and they're like, you're not. Your accent is different, your talk different, you're a bit fresher than we, you know what I mean? Or not. But it's just that thing where it's like, well, I'm not Nigerian enough. Like, I know, I have so many people tell me, especially folks who were like moved or immigrated at a young age, so they've had a lot longer to learn the values and the culture and assimilate a lot more than someone who moved like a year ago. And you see both of them having a conversation in a group, and then the person who'd moved a year ago is like, you were born here, please. And the person's like, no, I moved. And they're like, yeah, but you're more Canadian than... But then if that same person finds themselves in a group of like white folks, they're not Canadian enough, or they're not, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just that, like, how would you recommend that people navigate that?
That's a really hard one, because if you add another layer, so it's the one being with people who are from the same community as you, the same racialized community as yourself, and not belonging, and then being with white Canadians and not belonging. But then think about going to your country of origin and not belonging.
And it's even worse. It's like at a higher degree, because it's like, no, these are supposed to be my people.
Absolutely.
But you're looked at like...
So layer after layer you have to work with. I think it's hard. It's reality though. And so that's where I think sometimes acceptance is very important, and living in the here and now. Because if you start thinking about how it might get in the future, that's where sometimes there's a dissonance with people. So accepting that you made a move, your parents made a move, you know, we're here, the people who you thought would understand right away, they're saying, you're changed, you're born here. And it's hard, but that's the reality. So living in the here and now is very important, but also helping people to understand too that, hey, when you say that, this is how it's making me feel. It's also very important because they might not know the depth of how they're hurting with words. But yeah, these are some of the things I see.
Yeah. We've been talking for almost an hour. Can you believe that?
I cannot.
Time just flies.
It seems like we started just 10 minutes
10
ago.
minutes ago, 100%. So I'm going to ask you this final question before we round up. What is one thing you wish Canadians understood better about the immigrant experience? And what is one thing you wish immigrants understood better about Canadians?
That's a beautiful question, and also a nice way to end the conversation. I think I'll start with the latter. What should immigrants know, or
What should immigrants understand better about, or what do you wish immigrants understood better about Canadians?
yeah, I think one thing is also not an stereotyping that all white Canadians are racist or discriminating. That's not the case,
Yeah.
because no one is born being a racist. And
Yes.
so that's one thing I wish and hope that people could understand, because if you have preconceived notions, you're missing out on what could be. The other way around too is in terms of white Canadians understanding the immigrant experience is, one, not all immigrants come here because they're better off here. There are many reasons why people immigrate, and also understanding that individuals come educated. Individuals come with a lot of things that they're giving to the country, and that immigrants pay taxes as well, and immigrants have businesses, and we spoke about the language component, that it is an asset, because in some places you'll hear, if there's someone who speak Dutch, can you come to this area because we need you to translate. That's a gift for the country. So if we on both sides start looking more at the gifts that each of us are bringing into the country and into the encounter, we will have less of the tensions and less of the misunderstanding, and maybe, just maybe, more opportunities for open dialogue.
Thank you for that. That was beautiful. I feel like I have so many more questions. I feel like we'll invite you back for part 2.
We should have a part 2.
I think we should.
And yes, I would love that.
But doctor, please tell us more about yourself, where people can meet you, where people can contact you if they want to have a session with you. Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Of course.
So if you would like me to support you on your journey to wellness, it is important to remember this. You can email me at info@kongnetiman-wellness.com, and we could provide the spelling of my last name to you.
It'll be on the screen.
Awesome. So info@kongnetiman-wellness.com, or you can give me a call. 825-736-7234.
Don't worry, it'll be on the screen.
But yeah, I would love to be supportive of, and even if you have a question of what that support could look like, I would love to have that conversation with you.
Yeah, and I think people really need help with even the accessing of resources, of social support from the government, organizations, individuals. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's one thing people are really in need of, especially nowadays where like the cost of living through the roof and everyone's just trying to survive.
Correct.
I think just that will probably be the thing where people really need that support for. But once again, thank you so much, Dr. Linda, for coming and sharing your story with us, sharing about yourself, your background, your pangi. Thank you for sharing about social works and your own practice with us. And I look forward to having you here again on the Experts Corner. And yeah.
I applaud you. This was beautiful. Well done. Very well organized. I enjoyed the conversations. The questions were right on. And I really feel honored to have done this with you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Dr. Linda. And for our listeners, we'll see you next time on the Experts Corner. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you for watching Afros in the Diaspora at the Experts Corner. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us for more practical insights and to join the community. I remain Sarah Uwadiae, and we'll see you next time.